Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode number 1315. What's happening? What's going on? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is Take Out the Trash Tuesday. It's still dark, although it's going to be very warm today. I think we're going to approach 80 degrees. I've got this shirt on. Now, finally, this shirt actually looks its age. Ironically, this shirt looked just like this when I first bought it as a brand new shirt. This was like in style in 2005. It's about a 20-year-old sweater. Most people like, you look like a bum, you look like a hobo. And then I wore it like when my wife and I first started dating. And I had it for a couple of years at that point, and that's been over 10 years. And my wife's like, I really like that sweater. And of course, I got it in like 2005, so it didn't fit for a long time. I'm going through and I'm like, I need to find something light for today. Like it's going to be, it's one of those weird days in the fall in October where almost November, where it's really warm for a few hours, but then it's going to drop down. It's probably going to be cold tonight. So you never know what to wear. So I'm going through, and I've been going through I have a dresser that was never used for current clothing. It was for shirts, sweaters that hopefully I'll fit into again someday. And I've reached that someday. And so I've been, it's like I'm going shopping for new clothes all over again. It's like, I haven't been able to wear this in 7 years. Here we are. So here we are wearing this, and this shirt looks like it's 20 years old, and that it got ran over a few times by a car, but it's supposed to look like that. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to talk about fake news today. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. And guess what? That includes this channel. That includes the words coming out of my mouth. And we're going to talk about that. A couple of videos I watched this week it's like, you know what? And then as I thought, and I commented on one of them, and I'll talk about that. And I'm like, you know what? It's a good point. Good point. Because the person that I commented, the creator of the video commented, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I think we both have good points. We're both accurate. But when you're on YouTube, and this guy has a pretty big following, much, much larger following than I do. 22,000. He's the sports card dad. And that's one of the videos I'm going to be talking about. He has almost 22,000 subscribers. So when you put out videos, it's the fake news. It's the sensationalism, the headlines, and fake news wasn't invented with the internet. We've had sensational. Remember the weekly world news in your grocery store checkout line, the Bat Boy? That was fake news. That was before the internet. We've had fake news. We've had sensationalism for as long as we've had the media. I worked in media. I have some friends that are still in media and get very upset when people blame the media. And don't take it it's nothing personal. Some organizations do have agendas to push. Some don't. And so I just don't believe anybody. I just don't believe any of the news. It's all fake. So a couple of the videos, there was something else. I should probably remember it before I talk about it, but that was one that we're going to talk about. Another is it's also Allen and Ginter release week. And don't believe everything you read about Allen and Ginter. Oh, Allen and Ginter sucks. I want baseball cards. And I get it. But why do people drop $150 for a box of cards and not know what they're buying? Like every single year. Every single year I see these posts. So we're going to talk about that. And speaking of releases, Shane messaged me yesterday. Shout out Shane. And was asking how do I get pre-orders on the Topps website? Now I don't know any more than most, but I can give you, and the reason Bowman Chrome U football releases today. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Bowman Chrome U. Ooh, interesting. And, but I'm going to pass because I've got Ginter coming. I'm going to the Dallas card show. I'm going to spend money and buy. So I'm going to pass on Bowman Chrome U, but it is releasing today, I think, on the Topps website at 11. So if you want to get product on Topps.com, it's actually really simple. It's actually really simple. Now, if you put it into practice, that's on you. But here's the thing. Make sure you're logged into your Topps account. That's the most important thing, because otherwise it's going to slow you down and you want to get in. And a lot of these products, and you're like, whoa, is Bowman Chrome U going to sell out in 5 minutes? It might. A lot of these products, John's late to the program. We already talked about my shirt. Is Bowman Chrome U gonna sell out in 5? It could. A lot of products have been selling out very fast. So if you want to get in on pre-orders, and I'm not going to say guarantee, there are no guarantees, but if you want the best shot at getting something at pre-order on the Topps website, make sure you are logged into your Topps account. Go ahead and do that now. Log into your Topps account. Check on the product you want. Bowman Chrome U, I think 11 o'clock Central this morning is when it goes on pre-sale. And make sure you're at your computer or on your phone at 10:55 Central, a few minutes before. And then I just hit refresh. I go to the screen. Let's bring it up. Here, I want to find a tab that I'm going to, I want to use that today. Where is it at? Here, I will use that later. Okay, so let's go to Topps.com. Let's share my screen. Share the screen, Topps official. Here you go, Bowman Chrome U, right here on the main page. Am I sharing? Okay, I am sharing. Here we go, learn more. So 12 o'clock Eastern coming soon. It says sign up to be notified. Don't even bother with that, because you're going to get the email 15 minutes after it's sold out. So here's the prices. $130 for a hobby box, which I think is more than fair, which is about the same price as it was last year, if I remember correctly. And I think the paper product a few years ago was around $130 for a hobby box. Now, I don't know if it was 24. I think you got more cards, but this is also a Chrome product. So you get 2 autos per box in a hobby box. Jumbo boxes run $200. You get 3 autos per box, and you get the same amount of cards, which is interesting. You're paying more per card when it's all said and done on a jumbo box. You're paying more, like $2 more per autograph when you break it down. 200 divided by 3. I think that's how the math worked. I did the numbers yesterday. So anyway, there you go. So I just come here. I got a yawn. Good yawn. And I just keep hitting refresh at 10:58, 10:59. And this is what I love about Fanatics and what they're doing with their pre-orders now compared to what Topps was doing a few years ago, where you didn't know. Hell, you didn't even know what day pre-orders were going to go on sale. It tended to be on release day. Now they're doing it ahead of release day, so you can actually get the product on release day. That's a check in the right direction. And they're telling you, hey, live pre-order October 29th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. While supplies last, they probably won't last long. So make sure you're on the website if you want this product. If you want any pre-orders, make sure you're logged into the Topps account, and then just hit refresh and be ready. And that's how you can now, it's not guaranteed, but it's your best opportunity to get those products. John, here's the thing. Now I'm going to have to repeat for the viewers that were on time today. John is tardy. So we're going to have to repeat today's assignment for John. My wife did not pick out this shirt for me. This shirt predates my wife. This shirt's about 20 years old, and that's the joke I made. Yes, now it looks like it's 20 years old. It's always looked like this. It's always looked like this. It's always looked like it was 20 years old and ran over a few times and was out in the driveway. But I did buy this on my own accord about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And the funny thing was, when my wife and I first started dating, I wore this one night and she's like, I really like that shirt. I'm like, really? I actually bought this on my own. It's about the only thing that that my wife liked about my clothing style. John brings up a great point. Don't believe everything you see on the internet, including when I say we go live at 7 a.m. Central, because not all the time, most of the time, I'm tardy. So, John, you are correct. I'm not always on time. I'm rarely on time, in fact, for Hobby Evolution. And when was the last time someone's life was impacted by not pre-ordering a card box? Sometimes my life is impacted by pre-ordering. I am not buying Bowman Chrome U. Now, if I wasn't buying Allen Ginter this week, I probably would buy Bowman Chrome U. I've got a case of Allen Ginter. It's on a truck right now. It was picked up in Mesquite, Texas. It's on its way to Madison, Wisconsin. Scheduled delivery tomorrow for release day. So hopefully hopefully I get it at a decent time so I can rip and flip, so I can bust ass to Dallas, Texas for the Dallas Card Show via Oklahoma City later this week. I'm sensing you have a little Burt's Bees on your lips. Something is happening there. Yeah, so with this, actually I don't have any chapstick on. I'm out of Carmex. Usually I use Carmex. I've been using, and who knows what I'm putting on my lips, but I haven't put any on this morning. It's One Community Bank. This was from the bar crawl last week or last month, I guess. But no, nothing's on my lips. It's dry here in Wisconsin, which is what happens in the fall. And as it gets cold, the corn has been harvested. So the corn is no longer sweating. It's taking all the humidity out of the air. It is now dry in the Midwest. So when we get dry air, it affects my lips and it chaps. It chaps my lips. Chaps my ass too. Good morning, Red Light 34. Buy some fucking corn. Yeah. John is paying too much attention to my lips. So we're going to talk about everything on the internet today. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Hey, before we get to the chat, let me tell you about the eBay store, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more out of the Buy It Now section and save 25% off at checkout. We've got auctions ending tonight. Discount codes not applicable to the auctions. Auctions ending tonight. I'm also licking my lips because they're dry and that makes it worse. Anyway, tonight, eBay auctions, 7 p.m. Central. We stream live and we count down the eBay auctions tonight. We stream live right here on this eBay channel or this YouTube channel for my eBay auctions. And I have not scheduled any of the auctions for tonight, but I do have a stack. I've got a stack of football cards that are going to go up for auction. I've got some baseball. I've got some random. John Keating probably knows what these are. I have no idea. I've got to look these up, whatever these are. Joe DiMaggio. Somebody was trying to sell these for $4 and $3. Bob Feller. And this is a rare item. This is a rare item. This is a Bob Feller unsigned item. This has got to be more rare than an actually autographed Bob Feller piece. So there you go. And Hank Greenberg. So I'm going to throw those on auction tonight. I've got a Mike Trout box topper. That's going to go on auction tonight. I've got, I think, some basketball. I've got some football, basketball, baseball, a little bit of everything. So those are, so some of that stuff going to go to auction tonight. And, of course, we've got auctions ending tonight. Had some great auctions end last night. The James Stewart Black Refractor sold for like $45. So I was very happy with that ending. I was like, it was only at like $1.25 up until last night. I'm like, but there was like 8 watchers. And I'm like, this has got to go for higher. And I'm like, I hope it goes for 10, and ended up at 45. I don't think it's been paid for yet, but the David DeCastro that sold for like $46, $47, that was paid for. So hopefully James Stewart gets paid for as well. So those are a couple of the finds from the bulk buy from the singles club that I'm like, there's really not much in here. Well, little did I know there's a few refractors that sold for $50. So happy with that. Here I'm happy pulling $5 and $10 baseball cards out, not knowing there's $50 football refractors in there. What else is going on? There is one more thing I wanted to talk about before we get to the chat. So it is spooky season. We are just a couple days away from Halloween, Thursday night Halloween. So I often get these random like posts on Facebook. Like they're not really sponsored ads, but they're like pushed because I've clicked on these type of content before. And it's usually has to do with like 80s and 90s shitty movies and sitcoms. That's typically what Facebook is feeding me. Shitty movies and TV shows because I have terrible taste in television. And so the other day, I saw one of these Facebook posts about a movie called Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Have you ever seen this? Dark Night of the Scarecrow. I would venture to guess most of you have not seen this movie. John Keating probably has. Cooter probably has. It was a CBS Saturday Night at the Movies, 1981. But I guess, I don't know, Cooter, John, depending on what you were doing in 1980, where you were at in life, I'm not sure your ages. But in 1981, you might not have been staying at home watching a movie on Saturday night in 1981. Saturday Night at the Movies on CBS, Dark Night of the Scarecrow. It stars, probably the biggest name you would know would be Larry Drake. And if you don't know the name Larry Drake, LA Law, was it LA Law or Law and Order? One of those laws. It was also, he was also Dr. Giggles. Larry Drake. And who else was in it? The little girl, I don't know her name, but she ended up playing like in her young adult years. She was in, was it Silk Stockings? No, Knots Landing. It was one of those primetime soap operas. Knots Landing. I don't think she's acting anymore. Marlon Brando's sister played Larry Drake's mom in the movie. And Charles Durning was the antagonist, I guess, he's the bad guy, the main bad guy. There were like 4 bad guys, but I think Dan, Korean Cardboard, would like this movie, so I don't know if I want to share what happens in the movie, but I can give you the gist of it. It's not, so Cooter says, haven't seen it, I don't watch horror, but it's not really it's more of a thriller. Because remember, it was on CBS in primetime in the early 1980s. So it's not a slasher. It's certainly not a slasher film. It's more of a thriller, but it could be considered a horror genre. But again, it was on network television in 1981. Look at my comments above Cooter. Oh, I watched that movie last week. Oh, okay. So I will share because Dan's probably the only person that would watch it along besides me. Awesome. So Dan watched it last week. So I watched it yesterday for the first time. But it was one of those, I didn't watch it. Like I really don't watch TV. It's background, but I did stop and watch. A few times. So I kind of get the gist of it. So basically in Dark Night of the Scarecrow, and sometimes I like reading the Wikipedia, like I know what happens, and then I watch the movie. Sometimes I'll read a Wikipedia entry on a movie, and I'll be like, oh, that sounds really good. I'm going to watch the movie, even knowing what happens and how it ends. Anyway, Larry Drake plays a special needs person, and he has this friendship with a little girl. So he's playing, like, I think they even named his age. He was like in his mid to late 30s. And the little girl's probably, 10 years old. So they have this friendship. And so the movie opens, they're playing in a field with like flowers, and they have a song they sing together. It's sweet. Charles Durning plays a mailman, and this is a small town in the deep South. I'm not sure what state it takes place in. I don't even know if they mention it, but maybe say Mississippi. I don't know. Alabama, Arkansas. But it just like deep South is what they say. So anyway, they're in this field making flowers, singing songs. Charles Durning, mailman, pulls up and he sees him in this field, and he doesn't like Larry Drake. And Bubba is the character name, Bubba. So he goes back into town or the farm, and he gets one of his buddies, and he says, "Hey, Bubba's with that girl again. He's dangerous, blah, 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 blah." So they're like, "So what do you want to do about it?" He's like, "We got to end this permanently." So like he wants to kill Bubba. So the farmer guy, whatever, he talks him down. He's like, "Yeah, everything's okay." So flash forward, mailman goes back to his office. Farmer goes back to work. Larry Drake, Bubba, and the little girl, they go, and this is the part that I was like tuning out. I wasn't really paying attention, but they go to this other place and house, and it's fenced in, and there's a mean dog inside the fence. Think Cujo or the mean dog in Sandlot. Although the mean dog in Sandlot ended up being a sweet dog. This dog was not sweet. He attacked the little girl. Larry Drake busts through the fence and like picks her up. You don't know what happens. You don't know what happens. You just see the scene is Larry Drake bursting through the fence as you hear the little girl being attacked by the dog. The next scene, it flashes to Bubba, Larry Drake, carrying the little girl to her mom. And he's at his mom's door, and he's like, "Bubba didn't do it. Bubba didn't." Remember, he's special needs. "Bubba didn't do it." And so then it like another flash forward. The farmer guy or one of the bad men go to the post office, and they tell Charles Durning, the mailman, "Hey, he did it. He killed the little girl. Like the little girl got, she's dead. He did it." So it's like, oh shit, the little girl died and I'm like, why would CBS do this? On a Saturday night movie, they kill a little girl with a dog attack. That's like a double whammy. So anyway, then the scene is they order up a posse. We're talking about Dark Night of the Scarecrow. It was a CBS movie from 1981. So if you're just joining me. So they get this posse with all these townspeople. It's actually only 4 of them. And with dogs, so they can sniff them out. They're chasing down Bubba, played by Larry Drake. So they get all together. Bubba's running from the girl's house back to his home. He gets home. Marlon Brando's sister plays the part of Bubba's mom, and she gets to the door. "Bubba, what's going on?" And Bubba's like, "Bubba didn't do it. Bubba didn't do it." And so and apparently this posse of angry men. George, we're talking about Dark Night of the Scarecrow, movie from 1981. Larry Drake plays Bubba, special needs man. So apparently this has happened before. And they hide Larry Drake as a scarecrow out in the field. Well, the small town posse, they know they did this before. They find him in the field. He's dressed up as a scarecrow out in the field. They confront him, and they shoot him 21 times. They shoot him dead. Now remember, this is 1981. So there's no cell phones, and they're in the middle of a field. So they kill him, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it. We vigilante justice." All right. Well, no cell phones. So how did they find out? In the field, drama, they got the CB radio, which were still really big in 1981. So the CB radio comes over. Whatever the guy's name is. "Hey, it was all a false alarm. The girl's okay. In fact, you wouldn't believe this. Bubba saved her life." And then the look, oh my God, we just killed Bubba, and he saved that girl's life. So now they're like, oh, fuck. And so Charles Durning, he's just a bad guy. So he grabs a pitchfork it was their pitchfork. It was their pitchfork. And so he stages it like Bubba was threatening them and that they shot him 21 times in self-defense. So the mailman stages it. So anyway, it goes to court. They're in court for murder of Bubba. And the judge, of course, he's buddies with all these guys probably. So he doesn't have enough proof. Why is Bo giving us a book report on a 40-year-old? It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Dan probably did too. And so anyway, they get off scot-free because there's just not enough evidence because it was self-defense. Well, then all of a sudden, like the next night or a couple nights later, a scarecrow pops up in one of the guy's fields. It's like, I didn't put it there. It's the scarecrow. It was the same looking scarecrow as Bubba. And in the next one, yeah, right, George. Never trust the Postal Service. And then the next night, like a freak killing. One of the guys gets killed, like in a freak accident. And then another guy dies, and another guy dies. So I think all four of them, and like as the movie progresses, it's the scarecrow. But you're like, is the scarecrow? Is it Bubba's mom? Like and this is kind of like a play on Friday the 13th in part one, where it was Jason Voorhees' mom. So they're leading you to believe that it's Bubba's mom that's exacting revenge on her little boy, her big boy. And so the post mailman goes and confronts Mrs. Bubba, and she has a heart attack. And she dies of a heart attack. So it's not Bubba's mom, because then another guy dies. And I think the mailman's the last to go, and he eventually. And so come to find out, I think the movie ends. I wasn't really paying attention at the end, but essentially what happens at the end is the little girl goes out to the corn. And then it's like, is the little girl doing it? She's out in the field with the scarecrow, and the scarecrow is like alive, but it's not. It's like it's the ghost of Bubba, and he was exacting revenge on his murder. And it ends with him like smiling as a scarecrow at her and handing her these flowers that they had made together. So that's my synopsis of Dark Night of the Scarecrow, Book Report Tuesday. Great movie. I enjoyed it. It was a CBS Saturday night at the movies, 1981. Larry Drake, Charles Durning, starring in Dark Night of the Scarecrow. No dioramas. Let's go to the chat. No more movie reviews. Lewis in the house. Good morning. Dan's here. What's happening? Todd, good morning. Are the Yankees going to win a game? God, I hope the Yankees win. See, what did I tell you? I am the jinx. I am a World Series jinx. Only one time, maybe more than that. But in 2016, the team I was rooting for actually won. Usually that's not the case. Wanted the Yankees to win. And not only did I want the Yankees to win, I wanted this series to go 7 games. Play it out. Right now, it's like, might as well. Let's just get it over with so we can get the off season going and see what the Cubs are going to do. Because I think they have to tender contracts like 5 days. I think 5 days after the last game of the World Series is when contracts for 2025 are tendered and all that begins. So we'll see. I don't think so. The way things are going, I don't think so. Philly Joe, good morning. Morning, George. What's going on? Peter's in the house. Good morning. Merle's here. I saw on the internet that there was a card show in Dallas. Now I can believe it. Don't believe everything. Don't believe everything, but I'll be there. Bent Dinged Cardboard. I like it. I love the name. Embrace the crispy, fluffy circle. Bill Simus in the house. Good morning. Peter says, should I believe that the Yankees are down 0-3? Well, if the internet told you, you shouldn't believe it. John says, so you're saying the play hadn't been going on for 4 seconds before the Bears cornerback joined in. I should discount seeing that on the nets. Correct. Yes. Everything is fake on the internet. Don't believe a damn thing. Merle says, I saw that on TV, though. Was your TV powered by... My TV's powered by the internet. Without the internet, I don't have TV. Media has morphed into influencers. Yeah, we have seen that. Citizen journalists. Ernie's toys are bigger than him. Yeah. No. Ernie's getting to be... he does have... he's got a little lump on his belly. So we're taking him into the vet today to get it looked over. We Googled it, but don't believe everything you read on the internet. He's not in pain, so we scheduled it for today. He's had it for like a week now, or a week and a half. So anyway, where are we at? Merle says, like radio guys putting podcasts on YouTube influencing us now. John says you can absolutely believe A&G is shit if you want. We're a free country for another few weeks. You can absolutely think Allen Ginter is shit, but that's the problem where we're putting these thoughts out on the internet like, oh, don't buy that, and influencing others. And I'm just as guilty as the next. John's guilty. He's got YouTube videos out there. We're all guilty of it. Sharing our opinions like it's gospel. And it's really not. Like Allen Ginter. Every single year, and Allen Ginter has been out. Now, I understand 1800s, but the modern Allen Ginter has been out about as long as this shirt has. Ginter's about, 20 years? The modern incarnation's about 20 years old now. And it's been the same. Hell, the original product, it's based on the original product, had flowers and airplanes and all that, and presidents and different random shit. And that's what it is now. And every single year, this week, you're going to read about it on the internet. People are going to be complaining, oh, it's such a terrible product. It might be to you. It might be. I think there's terrible products out there that others don't believe in. I love Allen Ginter, and people think it's crap. But what I don't understand about Allen Ginter hate is that people will spend $150. I think that's what it was, $150 for a hobby box, not knowing there's cards of flowers and eggs and chickens and cows. Like, I wanted baseball cards. There was no auto in my box. Do you read? Well, I guess if you don't believe everything you read on the internet, like, I don't know about you, but I don't buy products that I have no knowledge of. I'm sure I have, but I'm just not going to go to the card shop and drop $150 on some product that I don't know anything about. Like, I'm not going to go to a card shop and buy a box of Pokemon for $150. I'm not going to go buy a box of hockey and be like, oh, I wanted whatever. Like, well, that product doesn't have that. But you're going to read about it all week. People spending their hard-earned money on Allen Ginter, not knowing that there's other cards besides just baseball in the product, and that you're not guaranteed an autograph in every box. Where are we at? George says, I only believe none of what I hear and even less of what I say. I think I saw Liver King wear that shirt, although I'm told I shouldn't believe it anymore. Spoken like a teacher, George. George says exactly. Kyle's in the house. Good morning. When's the last time you started on time? Never. Every once in a while. Today. I started on time today. Johnny M is here. Good morning. My mother always said, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. That's my attitude on the internet, especially. Absolutely. God, especially on Twitter, man. There are so many. There was, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's an account. It's a fake. It's not a fake account, but he spreads fake information. and said that Aaron Judge is under investigation for PEDs. False, fake, not true at all. When the trade deadline comes around, more prominent in baseball at the baseball trade deadline, you'll see fake accounts pretending to be, the baseball writers. Oh, trade. Aaron Judge is being traded for a bag of peanuts to the Tampa Bay Rays. And people fall for it. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. Mr. Archer is here. Good morning. American Airlines came through with my upgrade for my card show travel this weekend. Things are aligning. Which card show are you attending? Are you going? Because I know there's a couple. Are you coming to Dallas? Or is Boston? Is the Shriner show this weekend? I know there's a couple different shows. I know you're not going to Orlando, Florida. You're not going to Fanatics Fest because it was canceled. Buy some fucking corn. We need some corn. Red lights in the house. Good morning. Cooter, good morning. Keating is paying way too much attention to your lips. Yeah, he is. Wasn't that a line in Deliverance? You sure got pretty lips. John says you should pre-order corn instead of Chrome. Repeat after me, corn, then Chrome. From One Community Bank. That must be the tacky finger stuff they use for sorting papers and counting money. He still licks those 10-inch envelopes. Fire Floose. Yeah, what a shit show that was on Sunday. Dan watched Dark Knight of the Scarecrow last week. John once had a bowel movement that had the same movie title. Oh, I didn't realize. A John Carpenter film. I did not realize that was John Carpenter. Wait, no, this was not John Carpenter. Made for TV movie directed by veteran novelist Frank De Filita from a script by J.D. Feigelson. Let's see where we at. Cooter hasn't seen it. Don't watch horror. I don't need that crap in my brain. Fun fact, says Todd, Burt's Bees founded in Dover, Foxcroft, Maine, about 40 minutes from me. Interesting. Very nice. Dr. Giggles is such a great, horrible movie. I was thinking about this. I don't know if it was a podcast I was listening to, but isn't it like, and I never thought of it this way, but each decade kind of represent like horror movies. Like there's like a different genre by decade. Like 80s was, I mean, today we can consider it like cheesy slasher film. Like it was cheesy slashers. What was the 70s in horror movie? Of course, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s. Halloween began in the late 70s. What was early 70s horror? The 90s you had kind of like, what was early 90s? But by late 90s, it became more in it kind of late 90s, early 2000s, it morphed into like a combination horror and teeny bopper, high school, Scream, don't know what you did last summer, like those types of movies. And then like by the mid 2000s, you had the Saw movies and it was more psychological. The popular horror movies were more psychological. John says, CBS was your grandparents' network when I was growing up, other than Sunday football. And even when I was growing up, CBS was like the old people channel. Even into the 90s and early 2000s, it was like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. And I don't know. CBS was, I think, long for decades, CBS was your grandparents' network. Andy says, I've watched a lot of 80s movies with my kids now that they have way more cussing and mildly inappropriate moments than I remembered. I finally realized as a kid I was watching the TV edit. Ah, yes. John says, we were tougher back then. You could kill people without the snowflakes being up in arms. Are we talking about Old Yeller? Your generation is the one that can't handle hardships. Which generation am I? Because my generation thinks you're a boomer. And your generation thinks millennials are stupid kids. And the stupid kids thinks the boomers are every generation. It's just like vintage baseball cards. The line keeps moving. My parents complained about my generation. My generation is complaining about their kids. Their kids will complain about their kids, and so on and so forth. Grab them by the posse. Tracy, good morning. There was a convoy. Bubba has it coming. His name alone makes him an easy target. Why is Bo giving us a book report on a 40-year-old movie of the week? It was a great one. And hopefully it influences you to watch the movie. Somebody out there, watch Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. You can find it on Tubi. This is not an ad for Tubi, but you can find it on Tubi. Free, by the way. Free app. John says, Sports Card Dad's summary of the movie was only 30 seconds. Joe Caprino's in the house. Can you do a diorama of the book for us? Oh, man, I was not an artiste. No dioramas here. Maybe some diarrhea, but no diorama. I'm imagining John Newman's synopsis, which would be 4 times as long as the movie. Red Light sent me a message on Twitter. All right, I will check that out. Series is Ty. Don't believe what you hear. BPC in the house. Anyone seen a preview for Heretic? Looks damn good. I have not. Spoiler alert. Ernie going through binders. My dog is nothing but lumps at this point. It's sad, but that happens to old dogs. Buy Bitcoin cards and sell Digimon cards if they in Goodwill Pallet. Thank you, Brian. The whole reason people are pre-ordering cards is because of influencers, manufacturing. They're all influencing you to buy. In the olden days, we bought a pack or two at a time. I was pre-ordering before I was being influenced. I was pre-ordering product before I was on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube in terms of like consuming content. It's like, oh, maybe the blowout form. I guess I was probably on the blowout forums. Maybe that was where my influencing came from. And we survived the hype. Influencing goes both ways. You would absolutely drop money on something you know nothing about other than it sells quickly. That's a good point. If I know I can flip this for something, I would do it. But I know something about it. I know it sells fast. So if I buy this product, like, hey, you can go to Walmart and buy this for $20 and resell it for $75 on eBay, I'd do it, yes. But I do know something about the product. I know that I can resell it. Cooter says, no, people don't read. That is true. With either outcome, this election will ultimately be decided by low information voters who get their information off the internet. That's what's really sad. That is what's really sad. And oh God, I've had to mute so many people on Facebook because for one reason or the other, they're repeating fake news. Like, why am I even friends with you if you believe some of the shit that is being put out there? We should not be friends. That dude from Duryea says, pulled a piece of Abe Lincoln's Boyhood Home of 50 from an Allen Ginter box. It is loaded with gimmicks and surprises. Absolutely. I've had some really big hits out of Allen Ginter through the years. My very first box of Allen Ginter, I pulled a Willie Mays rip card, and I think it was numbered to 50. Back then, I think a box was like 60 or 70 bucks. And I sold the Willie Mays card for like 150. I pulled a Megalodon shark tooth out of a box back in, I think, 2017. 2016, whatever year Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza went into the Hall of Fame, I pulled a dual auto booklet of Piazza and Griffey Jr. numbered to 10. Let's see. I think that same year I pulled a Max Scherzer autograph booklet. Let's see. I pulled a wood mini of Salvador Perez. Let's see. So Paul Macbeth, Ultimate Frisbee autograph. That was like one of the highest priced autographs I had pulled. It's fun. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can pull. And the non-baseball side of things this year is loaded. And I'm looking forward to getting my case tomorrow. Dan says it was not John Carpenter. I made the mistake. Chucky, 1990s. Was Debbie Does Dallas 70s, 80s? I think the original was 70s, but they probably ran the gamut on that. Elm Street. Yeah, slashers were the 80s. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Omen and Exorcist were 70s. Okay. So it was more like demons in the 70s. What else was in the Poltergeist? That was in the 80s, I think. Night of the Lepus and Duel were always on CBS in the 70s, it seemed. Andy says, I love horror movies. I'll end up going to see Terrifier 3 alone because no one I know likes them. Well, if you were closer, we could go to the movies. Because my wife hates scary movies, which is crazy because we were watching, what the hell were we watching? I don't like CSI and shit like that. Like, my wife loves those shows. And that's like real. Like, that shit's like, that could happen like tonight. Like, people breaking into your house and tying you up and killing you. Like, that could happen. Like a dude that lives in a fucking lake and like comes out and kills camp counselors and never dies. Like, it probably can't happen. I don't know. Can't prove it, but it's highly unlikely that something like Friday the 13th, my wife's like, nope, can't do it. And I'm like, so maybe it's the gore and the blood. No, it's not that, because she loves fucking hospital shows. She loves pimple poppers. Gross ass shit. I like look up and I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like this giant corn on a foot, ugly ass feet, and they pop it and pus and blood comes squirting out. My wife's like, ooh. I'm like, what the fuck? And you won't watch unrealistic, scary movies? Human Centipede should have been a 70s movie. And I guess going further back, if you go back to like the 50s and 60s, it was like giant animals, like the human centipede, the birds, Godzilla, gorillas, and all that stuff. Brian's in the house. Good morning. John says, I'm an Xer, apparently, but you act like a John, you may be a Gen Xer, but you act like a boomer. You act like a boomer. 2 interviews for Brian. I really want one job and would settle for the other. Well, good luck. Human Centipede is the culmination of the Saw Hostel movies. Make sure they know you want it. Reanimator. Tom Coleman, what's going on? Reanimator was the horror movie. I remember multiple people running out of the theater screaming in terror. I have never been to a movie where people like ran out screaming or like left because it sucked. I also don't go to many movies, but I don't think I watched like Blair Witch Project. Was people were like, there were like, I don't know, maybe it's one of those things. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. People were like, oh, people were getting sick and throwing up in the theaters, but I didn't watch it in the theater. So I fell asleep during Sleepy Hollow. Not just a name. But other than that, like, I have no memories of like others leaving movies early or screaming, anything like that, which is a bummer. Unicorn Cupcake says, how long before boomer is considered ageist and outlawed from our vernacular? Another 10 years? You never know. Brian says, I might buy a neighbor's card collection tonight. He said it was mostly 80s and 90s football and baseball. Not expecting much. Yuck. Tom says, Blair Witch Project was a comedy in comparison to 70s horror. Absolutely. Absolutely. Johnny M says, I was buying cases in the 80s. I'm not going to have time to open my Allen and Ginter till next week. Going to casino and boxing match with son this weekend. Have fun. George says, my Twitter has had a lot of mutes happen over the last few months. Both sides are annoying. Amen. Amen. Cooter says, I'm looking forward to what you find at the Ghetto LCS on Sunday. You can also buy Bitcoin from his machine. I think you shared a picture of the Bitcoin machine. Brian says, Terrifier makes me laugh. I love Art the Clown. I have not seen any of the Terrifier movies. Should I watch the Terrifier? John says, exactly, George. Our country is fucked from both sides. Yes, it is. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Boomers don't listen to Limp Bizkit. That's butt rock. I listen to Limp Bizkit. That's hilarious, says Andy. I can watch I can't watch Pimple Popper either. I can watch In a Violent Nature, though, where a girl gets folded up and her head basically gets shoved up her ass. That dude from Duryea, Psycho, Birds, Alfred Hitchcock was 60s and 70s. Good flicks, but before my time. The height of Hitchcock was probably 60s, though, right? I don't think he had many, if any, big ones in the 70s. Cooter says, boy, for all the criticism the millennials throw at boomers and Gen X, they sure love our music. Terrifier's on. Yeah, I see Terrifier when I go to watch my WWE wrestling on Peacock. So don't believe everything you see on the internet. We talked about Allen and Ginter. People are going to complain. It's a great product, but don't believe everything you hear on the internet either. Just because I think it's a great product doesn't mean it is. So basically, don't believe what anybody says. Just live it yourself. Don't be influenced. Except for 99centcards.com. You will get great deals at 99centcards.com. You'll just have to check it out for yourself. Maybe there's not good deals. Maybe you'll go to 99centcards.com and be like, well, there's not any good deals in here. You'll just have to find out for yourself and hit up the website, 99centcards.com. So that brings us to our next topic, which is actually the same as that. It's, let me go here. The sports card dad. So he had a video yesterday, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Sports Card Dad had a video. I don't watch all of his videos. I just watch the videos that kind of speak to me. Actually, it shows what I watched this one. Handsome card YouTuber rants about sports card industry failure. It was clickbait. I almost clicked on this, but it was clickbait. Anyway, this is the video that I love the Beavis and Butthead hoodie. That's a fucking awesome hoodie, though. Sports card shows in decline. Card dealers exiting. And look at that. The down arrows. Oh, the upset. Oh, not good enough. He used double dipped on the photo. So I had to chime in on that because card shows are booming here. Cooter says SCD is an idiot. Card shows are booming here in Wisconsin, in Madison, in Janesville, in Oak Creek, in Green Bay. But I understand that's not the case everywhere. I know there's some smaller shows in Wisconsin, in Northern Illinois that are not booming. I know wherever you may be, card shows may not be booming. And I think that's where we get into this dangerous realm of fake news where I can say, well, card shows are booming. Look at Madison, card shows are booming. I also kind of have to do that as a promoter. But I am speaking the truth. It is booming here. But if you go to Boise, Idaho, your card show might not be booming in Boise, but it is in Madison, Janesville, Oak Creek, Green Bay. So I did comment on Sports Card Dad's video. He did not. Somebody replied. Mike replied. My comment to Sports Card Dad was shows are booming here in Northern Illinois and throughout Wisconsin. The show I promote, Madison Card Show, has the most traffic from November through February. Mike Nunya replies to my comment, A show promoter saying shows are, quote, booming. And he makes a valid point. He doesn't know me, I don't think. He doesn't know the Madison Card Show, I presume, because if he would come out to the Madison Card Show, he would see it is, in fact, booming. Dealers are not exiting. I have a waiting list of nearly 100 dealers. Now, I can't prove that. I mean, I guess I could show you all the messages, but you just got to take my word for it. And many of you know, it's hard to get in. There's just not enough space for dealers. They're not exiting, not here, not in Madison, not in Oak Creek, not in Janesville, not in Green Bay. I can't speak to other areas or other shows, but those shows are very strong, very, very strong. You just have to come out and see for yourself. Are the card shows booming here? Absolutely. Some more booming than others, and even month by month, more booming than others. So what I say is if, I don't like to see that doom and gloom, especially when I am a card show promoter. It's like people getting scheduled. Well, I don't want to come out to card shows anymore because card show dad or sports card dad said they're dying and they're declining and dealers are exiting. But it is what it is. Come on out to Madison, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, and see for yourself. Saturday, November 30th is the next show, which is Thanksgiving weekend. I promise you, should I promise you it'll be a booming show? It'll be a booming show. Come on, see us, see for yourself, Saturday, November 30th. So that's kind of what, in I can say that card shows are booming, and it goes both ways, right? It goes, Sports Card Dad says they're in decline and in his area, and I think he's in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's not many shows in Raleigh, North Carolina. In that area, I think North Carolina we have an overabundance of shows in our area, in our region. So it's not always the case. Like I can say, well, card shows are booming. Well, if you're in North Carolina, no, they're not. And you can say card shows aren't booming, they're in decline. And I'd say, no, they're not. So it depends on each other's perspectives and where they're at. Let's see. So George says, don't believe that your eBay high-end hobby box purchase hasn't been CT scanned. SCD is like a nerd that is trying to show how cool he was, allegedly. Dallas Card Show, not booming. Salad days are behind that show. Andy Max says, and I'll see that for myself. And also, what is booming? I'll have a different perspective because I've never been to the Dallas Card Show. I may go down there and be like, what are you talking about? This is booming. But if you were there 2 years ago, it was booming more so than what it is now. And, we'll see, how much of that is a seasonal or monthly difference. Is every single Madison Card Show alike? Is one more disappointing? Is one disappointing and one, amazing? Absolutely. From month to month, it's like, well, this show is light on traffic. September and October, I'm always surprised, and I shouldn't be because this is what, year 4, and I'm always surprised September, October have less traffic than I expect. And then like December, I think the common misconception is card shows don't hold card shows on holiday weekends, where it's the opposite. Like I've done card shows on Memorial Day weekend, on 4th of July weekend that have been crazy busy. And you're like, well, nobody's going to be coming inside to a card show on 4th of July or Memorial Day, especially in the Midwest. Not the case. Booming. I didn't want to run a card show after Christmas last year because, well, people already spent all their money and they don't want to spend, they don't want to come out to a card show today because they've spent all their Christmas money. And the fact is, it was like one of the most packed shows of the entire year. Hang on. Let me. Okay. All right. My wife has to go. So I've got Ernie. So I've got to whip through these chats real quick. And then Ernie's off to doggy daycare. Andy Mack says, I've stopped watching all sports card content except Hobby Evolution and Silver Sport. I'm not familiar with that channel. Very cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Unicorn Cupcake says, local influencer. Good morning, Herman. You are late. No worries. We're always tardy here. John says, would you go to a show where the promoter said interest was down? Yeah, I would. Absolutely. Because if interest is down, that means there's some good deals to be had. If interest is down, that's where you get your best buys. The best buys I've had as a consumer at a card show have been the shows that have been down. So if you tell me a show is down and it's nearby, I'm not going to fly to Raleigh, North Carolina or Boise, Idaho, but if it's nearby and you say a card show's down, absolutely, because dealers want to make money. And if there's nobody there, they're going to sell at a discount. And I've had my best buys when card shows were down. So yes, I would go to a show if a promoter said it was down. I get what you're saying, but me specifically, I would go. Yes, absolutely. More so than if you tell me it's, I would actually, you know what? I would actually have more faith in a show if the promoter said, well, it's down, as opposed to it's booming, because now I've got high expectations. I'm promoting I'm saying my card show is going to be booming, and that's something you may not think so. So it is kind of dangerous territory as a promoter to say either, like, well, it's booming, and you come out, well, this isn't booming, or you come out, it's down, and maybe it sucks. So it's kind of dangerous territory. You come out and see for yourself. John says, your region and the amount of shows held shows that card shows are not trending down in general. That's a good point. That genius is buying Stranger Things cards as an investment. Skill games are booming everywhere, though. Hire a couple strippers to hold some signs out on John Nolan Drive. Should help drive traffic. Victor's in the house. Good morning. John says, TV-related card sets are an extreme niche. A niche where, if you're investing, you might find the people that populate that niche already have those cards. Herman says, when I came up to the Madison Card Show, it was easily the biggest show I had ever been to. I love it. Herman came in all the way from Georgia. Love it. How does the Madison Card Show compare in size to all the other regional shows there? About the same. In fact, all four of the shows that I mentioned, Green Bay, Oak Creek, Janesville, Madison, they're all between 125 and 180 tables. Oak Creek has 180 tables. I'm at 140. Janesville's at like 120. Green Bay's around 120, 125. So between 180 or 120 and 180 are the four shows that I mentioned. And then there's other shows that get great traffic as well that are a little smaller, maybe 50 to 100 tables. John says, Madison Card Show is small in my mind, but I'm thrilled it has such a following. Unicorn Cupcake says, pretty sure it's the biggest regular show in Wisconsin. Oak Creek is probably the largest monthly show. Madison's second. For a couple months, I was largest with 200 tables, but that was, brief in the summer, a couple months. But the largest show in Wisconsin would be Oak Creek, around 180 tables. My show's 140. Then Green Bay probably is up to 125, 130. And I think Janesville's over 100. I don't know if it's quite 120, but it's over 100 tables in Janesville. Those are the four largest shows. And we haven't had any big shows, not since the Wisconsin Dells was the last big show. And that was in 2021. That was the last, big show in Wisconsin. Unicorn Cupcake says Oak Creek is just too weird of a setup. And that's kind of, mine became that. Mine became similar to Oak Creek's setup in the couple months that I ran 4 rooms. You have the entire upstairs, the entire second floor space. And then on the first floor, you had 2 ballrooms plus a conference room. So it became, pretty chopped up, which if financially it was more feasible, I would continue running it. Or if I had to put, even with making minimal margin, I would do it if I didn't have to set the rooms up on those other rooms. And that's, but that's not the only reason it's not feasible. And I have to, because I've had people offer like, well, I'll come help you set up, but it's like, I still have to come do the work. Like, if you do it all yourself, then we talk. But now they're only allowing like a 1 month notice on the third ballroom. So it's completely out of question at this time. But speaking of the Madison Card Show, I have not secured dates, but I do have they have been received. We had dialogue. Rates are in fact going up. So table fees will be going up effective January. It's going to be the very first time I've raised table fees. It's going to be a small upcharge. It's going to go from $50 to $60. So just a $10 table increase, but it's the first time tables have been $50 since April of 2021 when I started the show. So they've raised my rent each year. 2021 to 2022, rate went up. 2022 to 2023, rent went up. 2023 to 2024, I did take away volume discounts on tables because I had more demand than supply. And my increase was, I think it was like a 25% rate increase. So I had to bump up those, I had to take away those bulk discounts. And then I'm seeing another rate. And fortunately, it's not 25% this year, but it's still enough to where I've eaten enough increases over the last 3 to 4 years that I have to raise it. And I think $50 to $60. And if that's too much for some dealers, then they can find another show because I will fill those spots. Cooter says, do you consider number of tables versus number of dealers to be a better indication of show quality? That's a really good question. And then I've got to go. That's a really good question. When it all comes down to it, I think the gauge is tables, but at the end of the day, for a consumer, it's dealers. As a consumer, I don't care if there's 200 tables. If there's 200 tables and 25 dealers, that's might as well be 25 tables, right? Because if it's all modern stuff and there's no bargain boxes, then it's 200 tables of nothing I want to look at. So I think there's a happy medium. Mine's 140 tables, but I think I have 80. Faster if I look at my phone. Let's look at the last couple months of my 140 table setup. So I was at 140 the last 2 months. All right. So October. Oh, come on. Last month, or this month, October show, I had 80 dealers, right at 80 dealers, exactly 80 dealers. September, I had 75 dealers. And I'll probably be right at the 80 dealer range again in November. November 30th, next Madison Card Show. Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. I have to take care of Ernie. He's got to eat his breakfast, and then he's off to doggy daycare. And then I'm doing some shipping, and I may go vote today. My wife went to go vote yesterday afternoon. It was a 2-hour wait, and they were no longer accepting new voters. So I'm going to go try my hand. If it's a 2-hour wait, I'm probably just going to wait. At this point, I'm like, there's probably going to be more staff and much larger voting area next Tuesday on election day. I've got so much work to do this week that I don't have time to spend 2 hours waiting to vote. I will do it next week. So on Tuesday. So that's what I had for today. My Allen and Ginter case should arrive tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Allen and Ginter tomorrow morning, or anything else we talk about. Maybe I'll watch another cheesy made-for-TV movie that we can review tomorrow morning. We'll see. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Over in the Buy It Now section, there's over 100,000 cards. When you buy 7 or more at regular price, you'll save 25% off at checkout. We have auctions ending almost every night this week. In fact, there's auctions ending tonight. We had auctions end last night. Auctions ending tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night, Friday night, and even some auctions ending this Saturday night. Check it out, 99centcards.com. Make sure to tune in 11 hours. We'll go live at 7 p.m. Central on this channel, and we'll count down the auctions as they end for tonight's auctions. And as every auction ends, a new one begins. And of course, we'll stream live next Tuesday as well. So have a great Tuesday. We'll catch you tonight for eBay Auctions Live. See you then.